What a great week it was. The Bearcats defeating the Longview Lobos last Friday night in a thriller on a last-second field goal.
Yeah, it was. I was really pleased with our guys. Executed in all three phases of the game, and uh, it's good to see that had a punt, 51-yard punt to pin them deep, and they're not able to open up their playbook really, and the defense got a three and out, and ended up being able to drive the length of the field, and the offense took care of what they needed to, got the ball down there, and kicked the field goal to win the ball game. You like to see, really, normally it ends up in a game where one phase of the game ends up being able to do something at the end whenever it's a one-score ball game to finish you off. But it's good to see this early in the season, all three phases of the game execute like they did down the stretch, and help us win the ball game.
Well, I actually love to see you kick a field goal to win the ball game because I know your affection for kickers. So I was
And
like,
I know your affection for your son that was a kicker for us, so I know that's why you like to see that.
yeah, I do that, and then it's funny. There's a couple things early, and we'll talk about a little later the 2-point conversions. But you go through. I do need to apologize though because I jinxed you 1 week ago. We were over there, boy. Great to be under this new pavilion at the Sundown Tavern, so that way, should the weather get us, we don't have to move. And thank you for the television that you bought to replace the monitor that was damaged. So certainly appreciate that. But you go through. I jinxed you because that was our first turnover. And I said a week ago, we have not had a turnover this year. And so we have one that gave up a scoop and score.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. Those kind of things happen. You throw the ball, and you're going to have some bad things happen. But you go back and watch it on the video, and I don't know if you've seen the clip of it, but really we've got a receiver out there blocking a guy, and they kind of get piled up, and his leg flips up in the air, and Ahmad's got the ball really in pretty good shape, tucked away, and watching it in slow motion, Alex Hunt's heel hits the football, bounces out of there, and it bounces right up to the guy, and he's able to run it in. And really, in my opinion, I think that kind of kept him in the ball game, and ended up being why I felt like it was nip and tuck going the rest of the way. Because I felt like if we were able to drive the ball down at that point and get a score there, that maybe we could push it out and get a couple scores ahead. But those kind of things happen, and it was really good to see our offensive group respond to that. They go out, run the football in, and then we get to kick off and drive it back down and score it again. And to me, we talk about it all the time. It's not necessarily what happens; it's how you respond to it. And the offensive group responded really well to that.
I thought they really did. You go back to the week before at Cabot, it was something that was very similar because, well, not similar, just we had a lead and it kind of went away, and then we battled back and took that. But I want to say this is something the Longview game is one, and I know we go over it. You were there for 10 years, a decade of your life in Longview. They're really special people in a special game because I watched the players and the sportsmanship that was displayed. I mean, respect on both sides of the ball. I saw Ahmad. I saw Sam Hartwell help one of their players up. You go through that, and just really that is a good football team, but a good football program, but a game that's just is really good for the game of football.
It is. I think that's a good series for us. I think year in, year out, they're going to put a quality football team out there. In the days of running around, everybody's talking about firing their coach if he loses a couple games in a row. He's been there for this is his 25th year being there. I think it's his 21st being the head football coach there, and nowadays that just doesn't happen much anymore. And he's been there for a reason. I mean, they've been really successful, and it's a program that really, you take a job like this, like I did. I think it's a way for me to kind of gauge where it is. I feel like we are as a football program, and for us to beat those guys a couple years in a row, I think speaks a lot for our kids and coaches and the administration for allowing me an opportunity to put something together that has been real good.
Well, what is interesting, their assistant coach came to me and asked for the Wi-Fi password for the press box. And he said, I need that to upload our game film. I said, well, I'm not going to give that to you until the game is over because I don't want you to slow our data or anything else. I totally understand. So as soon as the game was over, I scrolled through the 98 missed calls and text messages that I had, found it, gave him the password, and then he came back and said, hey, I want to tell you, we pull for the Bearcats every weekend in Longview except for this one. So I thought that was really special.
Yeah, it's good. I still know a bunch of those guys, and I pull for the Lobos too whenever they're over there playing, and it's one of the things I talk to the kids all the time, and really talked to them about it last year when Coach Williams left and went to LSU. Is kids get upset, and they high school kids are trying to figure out like what relationships are all about, and coaches move on and kids move on, and the thing is like your relationship doesn't have to change about just because you don't work there anymore or because you don't go to school there anymore. You still have those relationships, and you're able to continue that, and it's still very special. But and I think it has helped these kids learn that about their coaches, and that didn't change for me whenever I left Longview and went to Gladewater, and I've been, I was at Wassman for a year, and then here I am at Ruston, and my relationship hadn't changed with those guys. I still pull for them, but they know whenever they get out here at Ruston that I got one thing on my mind, and that's sending them back with a loss.
Well, absolutely, you did that. Let's talk about it just for a minute. We have some highlights we'll look at during our second session tonight on Ruston Bearcats Live with head coach Jared Ball. But, Coach, really, in all honesty, you look at Acadiana and their program, and this is where I give credit to the Bearcats and your coaching staff, because you go down to Acadiana and it's a running clock. And all the sponsors are calling me because their ads didn't play, and I'm like, it was a running clock. But we'll get more of your ads played when we go to Cabot. Then we go to Cabot, and lo and behold, they run the clock in Arkansas when you're up 35, and so it's a running clock there. And so I was really anticipating how the Bearcats would play with their first. I'm not diminishing those two programs, but our best opponent and really the first true contest of the season.
So you were needing an overtime game or a double overtime game to run some ads.
That's correct.
Well, and I'm with you.
Wide left, wide right would have been – no, I'm just kidding.
I'm with you on that. No, I think it was good for our kids. We needed to play a full ball game for sure, and we got gassed before it was over with, and we need to play some full ball games and get in shape, because there may be an overtime game that we've got to be in shape to play, and our kids know that. And there's times where, particularly like this week, I mean, they're a no huddle team. They'll speed up the ball game and try to get a bunch of snaps, and we do it at times whenever we need to offensively. I was upset with our kids offensively in the Cabot game because we were trying to push the speed up a little bit, and looked like we got tired. And I yelled out there at them some nice encouragement words.
Encouraging, that's what you were,
trying
yes.
to cheer them on, and we've just got to be in better shape. And once the weather changes some and it cools off, I mean, we normally pick up a little bit of speed there, but we've got to make sure that we're able to play a full ball game and go into overtime if we need to.
Absolutely. We're going to take our first break. You listen to Ruston Bearcats Live with head coach Jared Ball from the Sundown Tavern. We'll be right back after this break.
Calling Bearcat Nation. This is Bill Hogan at CenturyNext Bank. Here we love our Bearcats, and we know there's no team like our home team. Remember, when you bank with us, you bank with the locals. And that's a win for our community. Go Bearcats. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Need extra space? Whether you're moving, downsizing, or just clearing the clutter, Premier Storage is here to help. Customers can easily check in and receive their lock from the kiosk anytime, day or night, or online at premierstorageruston.com. Gated access and on-site security features so you can store with confidence. Premier Storage, safe, secure, close to home. Reserve your unit today.
Step into the winner's circle with a John Deere tractor from Goldman Equipment. Shop North and Central Louisiana's largest John Deere dealer, Goldman Equipment. We're not just in your field, we're in your backyard. Thank you for calling Goldman Equipment. How can I help you?
When on a journey towards the best dentistry with exceptional care, you need travel no further than the heart of Ruston. There you will find the team behind Johnston & Murphy Dental Care. It's a goal built on the tradition of excellence established more than 60 years ago. A legacy in superior dental care. It's a journey worth taking and one we're proud to make with you. Come experience the best dentistry and exceptional customer service. Johnston & Murphy Dental Care, where every smile has a story.
Firmly founded in 1936, Pierce Lumber has been Ruston's hometown tradition for nearly 90 years. As your local Ace Hardware dealer, we're your headquarters for Bearcat tailgates, with Big Green Eggs, Traeger grills, Turtle Box speakers, Yeti coolers, meat church and hardcore carnivore seasonings, along with all the cooking gear you need to keep the grill hot and the drinks ice cold. From kickoff to the final whistle, we've got everything you need to make game day unforgettable. Pierce Lumber, friendly service, quality products, and proud supporters of the Bearcats.
Louisiana National Bank is the official bank of Ruston High Athletics. As a proud community partner and supporter of local education.
Live head coach Jared Ball. And coach, let's take a look at a few of the highlights from the game with Longview and just the things that you saw that we need to improve on and things that the Bearcats have improved on, because I know that you were not happy after the Cabot game, and just did you see improvement, and what areas did you see the most improvement last Friday night?
Well, you do know I'm a football coach. I'm not by nature very happy, regardless of how it turns out, and that's really one of the things we talked about on Saturday. Is a lot of times after a win like that, I mean, people get caught up with their emotions. They get caught up with their emotions and just assume that because you win the ball game that everything went well, and that's not the case. And we've got a lot of work to do, and I think defensively, I think we've got a lot of strides still to make. I think the offense seems to be clicking pretty good, but we still got some stuff up front to be able to work on. But Longview's a really good football team. I think their quarterback's really dynamic. It's the first kind of dual threat quarterback that we've seen threw the ball real well. We've rolled a bunch of guys in the secondary, and I'm one of those that our coaches on Sunday, I individually went through each position coach, and we go through each player's play, and we want to make improvements on what it is that those guys have to do each week, and we've got a lot of room for growth.
Obviously you do watch through different eyes, because we leave there running clock at Cabot. Hey, man, that was a great night. But you look at things that we need to improve on. But I will say this. Let's talk about guarding Ahmad Hudson man on man. It's just really not fair, and teams are going to do that. And you look out there, you got to say, hey, he's one-on-one coverage. Hence, you took the kicker out of the ball game and went for 2 points.
Yeah, I think, they were offsides, which makes it where you've got a yard and a half to get a 2-point conversion. I felt like going into the ball game, that was one of the things us as a coaching staff talked about, that points were going to be an issue. And so whenever the time arises for you to have an opportunity to get up by a point or whatever the case is, and the thing is that I know a lot of people, well, why are they going for 2? Why do they keep going for 2? But the thing is,
because you don't like kickers. We know why you kept going for 2.
Well, not true. We end up going up 8-7, and then we scored again. If you can go for 2 and get up by 2 scores, they're not able to tie the football game by just 1 touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Well, then they've got to possess the ball twice without us losing the lead. And the thing is, once you get that the 2-score lead, it puts them in a different frame of mind. They're playing catch-up the entire time. And so we were able to do that in the first half, and I really thought it was big when we didn't make the 2-point conversion. I believe it was in the second half, and we had an opportunity to go up by 9, maybe late in the third quarter or whenever it was, and had we been able to make that 2-point conversion to go up by 2 scores, they really would have had to start pressing. It puts a lot of pressure on the other team to try to perform, and then it seems like they're always playing catch-up, and so that's kind of why we did that. And I know a lot of people think maybe I don't like kickers, or
correct.
Maybe I just like going for two or whatever it is, but there's a reason behind that. And, I think it kept the pressure on their coaching staff the entire ball game that they were playing catch up the entire time.
All right, let's look at it. Talking to head coach Jared Ball on Ruston Bearcats Live with the victory over Longview. You look at, obviously, we talked about the 2-point conversion and things that you did well. I want to go back and look at the Acadiana and Cabot games because you had the running clock, because you were able to get a lot of players in. I really thought our defense was able to get a lot of snaps extra, and you got more people into the ball game, and that paid dividends versus Longview.
We did. We rolled some people in, but, in the defensive line, we're kind of banged up right now. We've got some guys out, and the group that was in there took a bunch of snaps, and that was one of the things, I don't know if you saw or noticed during the ball game, they probably rolled in about 8 or 9 defensive linemen, and we had about 5 we were rolling in the ball game, and our guys got tired. And it was detrimental for us at certain times in short yardage situations. We just didn't have a lot of gas left to give. But after the fact, it's a very good thing because our kids are playing themselves into some shape. And I feel like whenever we get some guys back, it's going to steady things up. Whenever you can roll those guys in, get them a break, and they're able to play fresh, I think it's going to help our defense out tremendously.
Well, yeah, obviously the more people that you can get in and play, obviously, and fresher legs comes into play. But you look at it, if you go through and watching, you're playing a dual threat quarterback like we were, puts more pressure on the defensive line or on the secondary?
Well, it depends on what he's doing. I think it puts a lot of pressure on the defensive line about keeping him in the pocket. That was one of the things that we went into the ball game, keeping the defensive ends, keeping contained on him, not letting him out of the pocket. Because then that makes you where you've got to push a secondary guy there, which may leave somebody open down the field. And the thing is with the dual threat guy is you got to stay in the coverage for long periods of time and not allow him to move around in the pocket for overtime is what I call it, over 4 or 5 seconds, and give his receivers an opportunity to get open whenever immediately you've got really good coverage on those guys, and then as things break down, they're able to make some big plays. And they did that at times just because of that.
They did that, and I will tell you it was great, too. I know that we travel, and we give you a hard time about the traveling schedule. In fact, a Thursday game in the middle of nowhere. But here's the thing. I thought the fans, one thing about it, when you play in Acadiana, when you play at Cabot, Arkansas, really showed up and turned out last Friday night.
I'll tell you what, I think everybody was ready to get back home and play a home game. I think our kids were pumped up. I think our community was pumped up, parents and everybody, and it was really good for the kids to see. You play those games on the road, and you see the heavy faithful and a bunch of parents and that kind of thing on the road, but then whenever you're able to come home and there's a big crowd and it's a lot of community members and a lot of, like, there was a really good atmosphere out there to play a football game, and I think our kids really appreciate that. And then, it'll be different for us this Thursday because, I know people have a lot of things going on Thursday, and that's a rough trip to try to make, and so we'll have to do it in a different atmosphere. And that's something we've talked about, and hopefully we'll just be able to be all about business and go out there and take care of things like we need to.
Well, I think that's very interesting because you talked a little earlier when you showed up today, so I guess you got through a practice early today for open house. So
it was earlier. I was told the coaches needed to be there at 6 o'clock, so I made that happen, and we got our whole practice done. We just did a little bit faster pace.
Well, in 32 years of teaching, I've never missed an open house, and I texted the administration and said, open house, Jared Ball show. They sent back, show. So thank you. The first open house that I missed in 32 years. We'll look at it. We talk about dual threat quarterback. And when you come in, we have one ourselves, Sam Hartwell. A lot of design runs, or was he just pulling it and running it last Friday night against the Lobos?
A little of both. We designed some runs for Sam, and just because he is a good runner, I think his speed is a little bit, you're not able to tell really how fast he is whenever he gets the football. So we designed some runs for him, and the thing that you're able to do out of the shotgun whenever you run the quarterback is you gain you gain a blocker with the running back if your quarterback can run the football, and a lot of times whenever you've got them odd split out and the receivers that we have, a lot of them, they spread themselves pretty thin in the secondary, and it opens up some things, and if your quarterback can run the football, it really puts the defense in a bind. And so a lot of those were designed. Some of them are by default. You get a pass rush, and he's able to get out of the pocket, and that's helpful in a lot of ways too.
I'll tell you one thing that really impressed me, the options. I mean, he was able to do it at good pitches and able to get the ball out to Dalen Powell. Let's talk about, I was concerned, was he going to be an every down back? I know he put on a lot of weight and grew over the summer. I said, you go from Jordan the Jet Hayes, Dylan Brooks, those are two guys that we really kind of went 50-50, 60-40 on last season. But Dalen Powell, the way we're running the option, really looking good for the Bearcats early.
Yeah, you just got to be able to take some pressure off of him. I don't know if the intention was to give him 27 carries or whatever it was. I think early in the year you try to stay away from that, but whenever he's kind of got the hot hand and he's feeling it, I think that lended itself to passing the ball a little bit more. But you want to try to limit that and spread it around. But being a bigger person, bigger back, he should be able to put up with that. And hopefully we can limit those. But I think at the end of the day, if it boils down to it, if you asked him if it come down to winning the ball game, he'd carry it how many other times we asked him.
Well, I noticed Davis DeMoss was out with an injury last week, so he was back returning punts. Is that something, if you want to avoid, you do, or it doesn't really matter?
Well, Davis kind of tweaked his ankle in the JV game on Thursday. We took him there, and that's one of the things about taking those guys and playing them in a JV game, that you stand a chance of something happening. And we took him. He tweaked his ankle. He wasn't able to return punts and spell Dalen. And so that part of it was not good. But I would say, like, Keyshawn Malcolm went to the JV game too and had 6 or 7 catches. And I think that really built a lot of confidence with Keyshawn coming into the ball game on Friday. And I think set him up for being way more confident about being a football player for the rest of the season.
I think so, and you can notice a difference. I tell you, that is one thing that's a little different in the state of Texas. Those games are on a Thursday night because none of the players that played for Longview on that Thursday night were eligible for them on Friday. So as opposed to we normally play like on a Monday night, so that was something different for the program.
Yeah, it was. He wanted to play sub-varsity games, and I think it was good for our freshman team and our JV team to go out there and play somebody that they have never played. I mean, you think about our junior high kids, they play the same old people over and over and over, and then they get to be a freshman, and then all of a sudden they're taking a bus ride 2 hours down the road and going to play Longview, and it showed whenever we got out there. We didn't execute. We didn't play as well as what we needed to as a freshman football team, and I told them, I was pretty disappointed in how those guys went out there and played, and really I felt like at the end of the day we got beat 35-12, and we were the best football team.
Well, in their defense, in the course from they were in the 6th grade, the 7th grade, and 8th grade, they've only been to Good Hope, West Ridge, and Neville. That's pretty much the extent of their travel.
Well, and that's exactly what I'm talking about, and that's one of the things that we've got to get used to as those kids grow and come through the program. You don't want them just to be in this box about what it is that they can only produce whenever they're comfortable with what the situation is. And so I think it's very important to be able to take those kids somewhere, whether it be Longview or wherever else. And we're going to play some freshman JV games against Ash and Calvary and some other teams. And so it's important that you take them out of their comfort zone and be able to execute regardless of who the opponent is, and maybe what day of the week that they're playing on, and get them out of their routine and have to be able to execute regardless of what the situation is. And, that's something we talked about. And again, I do feel like we were the better football team, but the better football team doesn't always have to win if you can't execute whenever you need to.
I 100% agree with you. This is the Ruston Bearcats Live on the Q94 and the Bearcat Nation Network from the back deck at Sundown Tavern. We'll be right back after this break.
Holland Real Estate Group has been serving the commercial real estate needs in Louisiana for over 30 years.
Because your business means everything to you, we know the importance of proper planning and location management. With our extensive knowledge of the area, we're able to create individualized solutions for our clients. We work closely with our community leaders to understand growth in the area. Ensuring successful win-win relationships for our clients is what we do best.
Building a life is different for everyone because everyone is different. That's why State Farm is there. Contact local agent Skip Russell for a quote today.
Headquartered in Ruston, Louisiana, HGA is a full-service project management and engineering services firm providing professional services to clients throughout the U.S. and overseas. HGA builds long-term client relationships by listening to clients, leveraging the experience of its professional team, and delivering on its commitments. HGA is a proud supporter of the Bearcat football program.
Firmly founded in 1936, Pierce Lumber has been your go-to for quality building parts in Ruston and North Louisiana. Located on 1032 Burgessville Road, we carry tools from DeWalt, Milwaukee, Senco, and Ego Power Tools. We're your home for locally sourced lumber and quality building parts. As well as being your local supplier for Benjamin Moore Paint, we offer delivery of our products from our door to yours. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram, and remember, if you're making it, make it with Pierce Lumber.
Hi, I'm Buddy Turja. And I'm Greg Turja. At Turja's Rentals, we believe in the power of community. Supporting our local sports and businesses isn't just important, it's essential.
For the last 41 years, you've stood by us, and we're proud to stand by you. Your support is what fuels our commitment to Ruston and Lincoln Parish.
So let's rally together this season and show our Bearcats the support they deserve.
And from all of us at Turja's Rentals, good luck this season, Bearcats.
And hey, enjoy the game.
Like life, injury and sport go hand in hand. When injury has you sidelined, there's one name above the rest. That's Johnson Physical Therapy.
Coach Jerry, let's get into this week's game, Coach. 3-0 on the season. So let's go to Alvarado, Texas. How did that come to be? We know Midland Legacy. I think they changed their name back to Midland Lee. I saw that over the summer, followed them on Twitter or X, and that's what they said. So why Alvarado? And actually, I looked and I thought, okay, let's split the difference. It's 4 hours and 9 minutes from Ruston, like 4 hours and 58 minutes from Midland.
Yeah, they're still coming a little bit further than us. He happened to know somebody from Alvarado. We really struggled trying to find a venue to play the ball game that you didn't have to pay $30,000 or $40,000 to play there. And so
let's talk about that for a minute. People may not understand that. You have to rent the facilities.
That's correct. Yeah. They paid for it last year, so we played at Choctaw Stadium. It cost them $20,000 for us to play there, and it was our turn this year, and I wasn't willing to do that, and I really didn't want to stay away from a Saturday afternoon game. I didn't like how two of those games in a row on a Saturday afternoon put us. I think we were tired last year midway through the season, and I wanted to stay away from that, and so we tried to find a Friday night, and he called places, I called places, and couldn't find anywhere, and so for him it was either Saturday night or Thursday night. With us having a ball game the next week on a Friday, I didn't want to play on a Saturday night, so to me it made more sense to play on a Thursday night, have a quicker week, and I know that's not good for a crowd and all that, but at the end of the day, I need to try to do what's best for the kids and the team, and trying to keep our guys intact. And so I think it's going to be good for us, even though it's a long trip. We'll play on Thursday, but the kids will come back. We'll lift weights and run on Friday.
Really?
I'll give them all.
You're going to bring them back on Friday?
Yeah, we'll do that during the school day, and then I'll turn them loose Friday afternoon. They'll have an opportunity to go watch a ball game and we'll take a Saturday off, so they'll get a couple days off. And then First Baptist Church has invited us to church on Sunday, and try to get the kids to show up there. And so they'll have about 3 days off of getting away from me, and me getting away from them, and we all probably need that. And then we'll go back to work on Monday. So I think it's going to work better. I know, crowd-wise, and it's a struggle for parents about going all the way out there on a Thursday and all of that. But like I say, I feel like my job is to do what I feel like is best for the football team and the kids, and I think it's going to give them some rest after this ball game's over, and really push to be as good as what we can be for the second half of the season.
All right, so let's break this down. So are we renting Alvarado's facility, or are they able to give that to us at a discounted price or free?
It ain't free, but it ain't $20,000 either. So they hadn't sent me the bill, but they've been very gracious. All of the facilities out there in Texas, they're used to people playing neutral sites. I know our folks have been spoiled the past 2 or 3 years from us playing all these home games just because of how we're ranked. But in Texas, the only people that are guaranteed a home game is in the first round of the playoffs, and that's the highest seed. And then after that, you play neutral sites, and you flip for what stadium you play for. And so, if we were getting ready to play Midland, we could pick one a little bit closer here, and they'd pick one a little bit closer there, and we'd flip for it.
Really?
Coin toss, yeah. Or if you do it over the phone, you pick a zip code, whether it's even or odd. And so, that's kind of how it works for there. So all of those stadiums out there, they're used to hosting people, and so Alvarado has been really good.
Well, I'm going to tell you, and I'm interrupting you, and I apologize for that, but it's really good. Normally, people don't return my phone call. If they do, it's really late in the week. I called them earlier in the week and
They
told
don't
them.
know who you are. I'm going to interrupt you. So they haven't met you yet.
So they haven't met me, so you're exactly
They don't know
right.
they're supposed to avoid your call.
You're a horrible human being. But anyway, but you're correct. But anyway, so they immediately called back, and I want to tell you, Carswell is out in front. He's going to run the camera. They said he's going to be up on the roof, and then they said, you know what? You've got a press box, the window opens. You have seat for 4, and if you want to go up on the roof, let me know. I'll get you a table and chairs, and I'll run Ethernet to you. Really nice, even recommended places to eat. And I just think it's because of they're used to that with the playoffs. Is that something that you would like to see in Louisiana high school football?
Probably not. I think I just don't know that there's the venues. Like, what would you look for? I mean, where do you want to go? Like, if you're getting ready to play, who have we played in the playoffs?
Zachary, Denham Springs is my favorite. Denham Springs is my favorite.
So, what stadium? You tell me, because you're probably more familiar. So, say we're fixing to go play Zachary, or we're fixing to play them in the next game. What stadium in Louisiana would you say that you would like to go play that game in other than playing at home?
Halfway distance, Louisiana College in Pineville.
You would rather play there than
No, I would rather play at home, absolutely. I mean, I would rather play at home. I'm just saying.
That would make sense. I mean, but how many people would be fighting for that stadium that were still in the playoffs?
A lot.
And then, so they wouldn't be able to accommodate. I just don't think there's enough stadiums in Louisiana to be able to accommodate.
So that's what you're saying. Due to the stadiums that they have in Texas are built for this, and they built that, so therefore that's why it's easier to do. So you don't want to see that come here because there is an advantage to playing at home.
It's a great advantage, and but if you're on the flip side of that, and we've been there before, where we've been on the road and we've had to do a bunch of traveling. But the thing is, and I've always taken it in stride, a lot of people do not, but if you don't set yourself up and win enough ball games and you don't end up seeded to where you want to, and you got to hit the road, and that's just what it is. That's how you set yourself up during the regular season.
There you go, talking with Ruston head coach Jared Ball. And, Coach, you look at it, what can you tell us about this? And I don't know if it's Midland Lee or Midland Legacy because they did change their name back. They said they were going to change it back during the last summer. What can you – forget what they're called, Midland. How good of a football team are they, and what can we expect them to do?
Well, I would think that probably most people, they'll look at their record, much like I talked about last year, and think that there's being a 1-3 football team coming into this, that we're fixed to go out there and handle them. But I don't think that that's the case. I like their quarterback. I think he's a really good player. He's the same kid that they had last year. Their running back's good. They've got a couple good receivers. I think they're pretty good in the offensive line. They're solid on defense. The thing that I would caution people to look at a record and say like, well, there's no way they're any good if they're 1-3. You need to go look specifically at what teams they played. They played Allen, they played Lake Travis, and they played Euless Trinity. And there's about 99% of the teams in America that if you line those teams
Those
up
three,
against
yeah.
those three, then they're fixed to be 0-3. And go look them up, and people take an opportunity to see what those teams are about. I'm kind of sore against Lake Travis. My last 2 years at Longview, we played them in the state championship, and we took it on the chin 2 years in a row against those guys.
So you're saying that Lake Travis is going to be on our schedule in a few years?
Well, I don't know. I think it's the same head coach. Well, Chad Morris was the head coach then.
Yeah,
but
Chad.
But the defensive coordinator that was there then at the time, he's the head coach now. And so I don't know. I wouldn't mind playing those guys to try to beat them at some point. But you look at Midland, and they're a really good quality football team. I remember, we went out and played those guys my first year at Longview when Cedric Benson was playing there and Eric Winston was playing there. Had some really good football players, and that program has experienced a lot of tradition and winning ball games, and Coach Hartman, he wants to get them back to that, and I think that's the reason that he scheduled those teams that he scheduled. He scheduled us. He's not afraid to do that. Last year, after we beat them, they were 1-4 going into district, and they ended up winning their district after it was over with. So I think he's got a peg on this game. I think he's putting a lot into it. I think he wants to win this ball game going into their bye week and their district race after that. So I expect for them to be ready to play.
All right, let's talk about what do they do offensively and defensively. Watch special teams. How good are they? What can we expect the challenges they present for the Bearcats?
Offensively, they're a spread football team. A lot of read, RPO type things. They'll get you one-on-one in coverage and try to throw the ball to their receivers. I would say kind of probably nowadays it's probably like a standard offense of what it is you would see. You cut on a college football game. It's a spread offense of what you'd see nowadays. Defensively, they're kind of vanilla is what I would say. They're a 3-4 defense. I think we've got some good matchups according to what it is that we do. We're putting two running backs in the backfield with a tight end in the game. That really lends itself to be pretty good against a vanilla 3-4 defense. And so if they stay that way, they didn't make a lot of adjustments last year, but, you go back and cut on the video from last year, and the score got out of whack early on, and they just never really recovered. It really reminds me of the ball game this year against Acadiana. I felt like we jumped out there and jumped on them, and they never could really get their feet in the ground. That's really what happened to Midland last year. We go down, score the football, they get it back. Zarek intercepts the football.
Yes.
He runs it in. They get the football back. They drive it a little bit. Jaden Andy picks the ball off, and then we drive it down, kick a field goal. They're behind 17-0 before really much time is run off, and they never really could rebound from that. If you remember, like the second half, like we didn't do much of anything. We didn't play very well.
Well, Carswell said it was because you called the dogs off and you weren't going to show anything since we had a big lead. That's what he said.
Yeah, I don't really know how many times I've called the dogs off. I normally hit the gas until it's time where I feel really, really, really comfortable about not doing anything further. I'm not trying to run anybody in the ground, but I do want to make certain that that nobody's going to be feeling like that they can.
They can come back, yeah, have a chance. Like when you used to play shooter, you used to do that in basketball. That's what they would do. You'd call the dogs off, then they'd start pressing your seventh graders.
For my mom, she was a girls basketball coach for a bunch of years, and she got accused of running the score up a bunch whenever she was coaching at Calhoun Middle School. And but she was never fixed to let somebody come back on her.
Slip back in that.
One of the biggest things I learned from my mom on that deal.
Well, you did that. You showed class. I think it's Acadiana and both Acadiana and at Cabot, you could have pushed one in late and chose not to. Let's talk about this just for a minute, because we're all into power rankings and points and everything. You look at that in Texas, but we do it doesn't hurt us to play an out-of-state opponent.
No, absolutely not. It's no different for us. There are some sports where it doesn't benefit you a whole lot to play an out-of-sport or an out-of-state team because they're not able to keep up with their schedules and how many games they've played and all of that kind of stuff. But for us, I mean, it's no different for us playing an out-of-state team as what it would be. The only thing that would lend itself to be a little bit different is if we completed our season before they had completed theirs, and we may not be able to get the points for a win that they had after we had playoff scheduled. I think that happened one year. Really, the last time we played Longview, we finished our season, and then they had one more week left in their regular season, and they won, and we didn't get that point. But that would be the only situation where it would be a little bit different. But no, we picked up a lot of really quality points from the teams we played from out of state.
And take our final break. You're listening to Ruston Bearcats Live on Q94.1 and the BearcatNationNetwork.com. We'll be right back after this break.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you. Contact local agent Skip Russell for your personal price plan today.
Hunter Smith, class of 1999, and Josh Beckham, class of 2006, are firmly founded. Contact us for two Bearcats who will be a trusted advisor in your next sell or purchase of recreational, investment, or hunting property. Go Cats!
At GBT, we're more than just a bank. We're part of the community, and we're proud to cheer on Ruston High Athletics.
Whether it's on the field, court, or track, we're excited to stand by our athletes and celebrate their hard work and dedication. With GBT, you're always banking on a winning team. Go Bearcats!
No one can predict the future, but there are preventative measures to ensure our properties, belongings, and families are protected. At Provision Security, this is what we do best. Our team of security professionals install and service the latest technologies in security alarms, access control systems, IP cameras, and much more. We take pride in securing the homes and businesses of North Louisiana. If you're ready to safeguard what matters most, call us at 318-255-1566 for a free quote. Provision Security remains dedicated to protecting your past, present, and future.
I'm Brett Brown, and when I want fireworks, there is only one place I go, and that is Family Fireworks. Family Fireworks supports all Ruston High activities. John, Barbara, Jim, Jennifer, and Philip Ford are all Ruston High graduates. Family Fireworks is located at 116 UPS Road off Highway 33 in Ruston. We are the tent in the back. Just like you celebrate Bearcat and Lady Bearcat victories, come celebrate your firework holidays with us. We have been making memories for over 20 years. Come have fun with Family Fireworks. Ford Family says go big Ruston.
Welcome back to the Sundown Tavern. Nick Brownlaw, head coach Jared Ball. Coach, let's take a minute to talk about your program. I know today you were able to get the coaches out as they headed over to open house at Ruston High School tonight, and you and I are here Let's talk about your program, how the freshman and JV seasons are going.
Well, I've been really pleased with both groups. Even though the JV hasn't played many ball games up to this point, I think we had a weather situation when Washita was supposed to come here, and then same thing whenever we went over to West Monroe, and then we went out to Longview, and I thought they played well out there. They won 14-7, so they haven't had a whole lot of time to play, but we've got some games down the stretch that I think is going to be a great opportunity for those guys. I think our freshmen have shown a lot of promise early on. I think I talked a little bit about those guys versus Longview. I thought it was important for them to get on the road, go play a team that they haven't played, and hopefully we've learned a lesson from that. And we played Carroll this week and went over there, and I thought the kids did a good job, executed, and got West Monroe next week on Monday at home, and so that'll be a big ball game for us. We were ahead whenever we went over there earlier in the season, and got that one called for lightning.
Oh, if you're ahead when it's called from weather, that's a victory.
Well, it depends. It was late enough in the game that I would have called it a win. A couple minutes left, and we were a couple scores ahead, so I will count that one as a win. But I know that West Monroe will have it on their mind to come over here and play a little bit better. And, so I've challenged our freshman group coming into that ball game that they need to be ready for that, and it'll be a great challenge. But I've been pleased with those guys. We practice all of those guys with the varsity group whenever they're out there, and that way all our coaches get to know them. I think it's a great thing. All of our guys, as soon as they get into high school, they're working with the position coach that they're going to be working with the entire time that they're in high school, and I think that lends itself to be develop a really good relationship with that coach, get to know them, they get to know each other. And
so let me see if I get this right. So you're a freshman, you're going to be, and I know we have construction going on, the indoor facility is going to be great. So if I'm a freshman at Ruston High and I'm practicing football, I'm practicing with a junior varsity and varsity at the same time?
Yeah, everybody, if you play football here, you practice, everybody practices together. And so like if you came out to practice today, we would have all 165 of those guys out there at the same time. And, if they're working with, if they play receiver, they're working with Coach Gatlin, whether they're a freshman, a JV player, or a varsity player.
So wait, so it's not like the freshmen are over here in this end zone and they're going with freshman coaches and the running backs are, so like everybody's mixed in together?
There are times where we separate doing some different drill work, but for the most part, like if they're doing individual work, and it's the receiver group, then they go with their position coach and they're working with that position coach. Now there are times whenever we split off and we're doing, whenever it's team-specific things, like today, our first and second groups, we're working on Midland Lee stuff on one end. Our freshmen and the third group are over there working on really our stuff on our stuff. They're running our offense versus our defense, and it's a great opportunity for our freshmen to work against some different guys, some older guys, more experienced, and to me, it's one of the best things that we've done here since I've done that. I've done it at Gladewater whenever I was the head coach there, and it was very beneficial, and I think it's paid dividends here.
So you're obviously the head coach. There's not like a head freshman coach, or who's calling plays like on a freshman game? Is that Earl Griffin calling plays on a freshman game?
Yeah, you go to a freshman football game, and Coach Griffin calls plays for a freshman. He calls them for the JV, he calls them for the varsity, and the same thing defensively. Coach Yanez called them. When Coach Williams was here, he called freshman defense. I mean, we coach the whole thing, and to me, it's the best way to develop continuity of what it is that you're trying to do. Kids understand they hear the same things over and over and over again, for 4 years, which I would imagine probably gets old. But I think, anytime, the more people you have speaking to somebody about doing things the way that you want them to do, a a lot of times you may be saying the same thing, but it sounds differently whenever multiple people are saying that. And I've always believed that if you're teaching something, you want to be consistent about the verbiage that you use and the way that you go about teaching it. And I think that's one of the best things that we've done.
All right, that sounds great. I'm going to tell you what, I take it a step further. Last night I went out and watched our 6th grade team play, finished the season undefeated, because you really can't count it. Like if they played the 7th and 8th grade team and lost, now that's a little bit out of their range. Curtis, let's talk about the coaches of the 6th grade, 7th and 8th grade. They're playing tonight. Do they use the same terminology? And how much contact do you have with their coaching staff and what they're doing?
We have a bunch of contact with those guys. In fact, Coach Goodwin, that's the head coach at I.A. Lewis, played for me whenever he was at Ouachita, and it was really the same offense back then than what it is that we're doing now, and a lot of the verbiage was the same back then. He coached freshman football here. He was the head freshman coach here for a while. Whenever Coach Garvin left and went to Ouachita and was head coach there, he was offensive coordinator at Ouachita, and then came back here, and he's coaching at I.A. Lewis. So he's completely, he knows a lot of different aspects of what it is that we're doing as far as terminology and how we go about doing things. And the same thing with Coach Hay in 7th and 8th grade at junior high. Coach Hay was the tight ends coach here for me whenever I was offensive coordinator, and later as the head coach. And to me, it's not only the terminology of what you're doing on offense and defense. It's how do we go about doing things, and it's down to do they do stretch the same way? Do they work in the weight room the same way? Coach Hogan, our strength and conditioning coach, meets with Coach Peterson, the junior high strength and conditioning coach. They're doing the same things that we do in the weight room. I mean, we try to get them to emulate every little thing it is that we do from 6th grade all the way through whenever they're a senior. That way, the transition for those kids coming from I.A. Lewis to the junior high, or the junior high to the high school, the transition needs to be as smooth as possible. And I think that that's the case with football, and I think if you ask Mr. Durrett, I think that's what he would think that the transition needs to be like academically also.
Well, I think one thing that's really important, and I think you do a great job of this, is letting those coaches know how important they are, because to me it'd be like an ego check. Wow, I'm the 6th grade coach and I want to be at the high school, or I'm a 7th and 8th grade coach and I want to be at the high school, get to the high school. But I think you let those coaches know how important they are, and they're a big cog in this wheel to keep the program really the foundation that they're starting.
Well, I tell them all the time that I feel like that the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade coaches are the most important guys in our football program, period. More important than me, in fact. And that's not just lip service. To me, I think young kids develop, how am I going to feel about playing football? I mean, guys that have played football, you really stop and think about, what is it that I really felt like about playing football? And you develop that feeling whenever you're at a young age. If you have a bad experience playing football in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, is that something that you're fixing to continue to do? And the answer is no, if it's a bad experience. And so it's really important that those guys are letting those kids have a good experience, and it ain't that we're out there having recess out of practice.
And not Reese Cups and Oreos every day. Yeah.
It needs to be hard work. It needs to be learning those things that they need to learn, but it also needs to be, you want those kids to be involved and to have a good time, and for it to be a great experience, and it's something that they want to continue to do throughout their high school career. And if you got the wrong guys in those spots, then it's guys that I may never see. If we lose them in 6th grade or 7th grade, then it's some kids that may leave the program, decide to change schools, whatever the case is, that I don't even have a clue about if those guys aren't doing a good job. So to me, in the long run of a really high quality football program, you better have some guys in place down there that know what they're doing, trying to keep kids involved, and then that way it facilitates those kids coming through the high school.
Absolutely, do a wonderful job with that. Talking with Ruston High head coach Jerry Ball on Ruston Bearcats Live. Now, I actually alienated some listeners last Friday night, so that was great to let me know that they were listening. but I made a comment that you are an athletic director that encourages athletes to play multiple sports, that you're all on board with that. And I said that wasn't always the case at Ruston High, and that when you've been there 32 years, you can make a statement like that, but that is something that is very important to you, that you're not like, well, you're a football guy and you're not going to basketball, you're not going to baseball, you're not doing this. You're really about them being the most well-rounded athlete they can be.
I like for them to play multiple sports because I did. I mean, I thought I was Larry Bird coming through.
I coached against you.
And I know a lot of people would laugh at that, but that was my deal. And ran track. I was a 400 meter runner, and so I enjoy playing other sports, and think that it gives kids a relief, even though it's not your main sport. You know, all the kids have their main sport, and that's fine. Joaquin Ramos, I think, he's a big soccer player and all that, and you got to work around travel soccer and all of these things. I think it's the best experience for a kid to want to participate in something that they feel like that they want to participate in, and be able to spend time doing that. And to me, it gives you a mental break from something that you are spending a lot of your time doing. I think, you take Ahmad Hudson, for instance. Probably whenever he was an incoming freshman, you'd probably say, 95% of everybody would say, like, well, he's fixing to play basketball, and he needs to spend his time playing basketball all the time. Well, he needed a break. And then lo and behold, come to find out, like, football ends up being one, and I ain't saying he needs to spend all his time playing football, because he don't. He needs to spend some time playing some other things to give him a mental break from the other sports. And to me, I think the worst thing that has happened to sports, period, is the year-round, constant playing the same thing over and over and over. I think that's why you see all the overuse injury stuff. I can get on.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Yeah, but here's the thing. Not only do you encourage that, you encourage your other coaches as well, whether it's women's basketball or soccer or whatever it may be. You encourage all our coaches at Ruston High School to have an open mind about multi-sport athletes.
Well, I think they need to, and at Ruston they have to, or they'll have to get on somewhere else. Because, I want a kid to have the best high school experience that they can have, and it ain't a grown person's job to try to predetermine what it is that they feel like a kid needs to do with their experience that they have. If they want to play multiple sports or be involved in FFA or be involved in whatever the activities are, then that ain't for me to decide. They need to decide what it is that they want to do, because you never know where kids are going to end up, and they'll surprise you. I can't tell you in all these years that I've been coaching, kids come back and they tell you what they're doing then, and you'd be surprised about some of the stories. You've been in it 32 years on what it is that they're doing. And so it ain't for me to decide what it is that I feel like that they need to do with their time, and pigeonhole them into something that at the end of the day, once they graduate high school, who knows what they're going to end up doing.
All right, you've been listening to Ruston Bearcats Live on the Q94 and BearcatNationNetwork.com. Coach, good luck as you travel to a rare Thursday game, Alvarado, Texas bound.
Thank you.